Hello and welcome to The Secrets of a Best-Selling Book Cover Design. I'm so glad that you picked up the book and that we were able to give you this bonus session. And we used my book as a prototype. So I'm going to go through all the renditions, the different edits that we did for my book. I think there was probably about 15. Usually we do about 5. But you'll see today as we go through the different covers that we had to make a major pivot along the way, or several of them. So I am walking you through as an example using my cover to talk about how you can work with your covers. I'm also going to go over each different edition that we did and revision and why we made the pivot and why we made the change. So I don't have pictures for all 15, but I do have the key ones where we pivoted in the process. So as I got started, what I decided to do was use kind of me as a guinea pig. So I went out to the cheap overseas design places to see what they would come up with for my book. So the first picture that I'm going to show you is that design. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And I don't know how much it was. I don't know, 30, 37, $100, something like that. And these are the overseas people. They usually don't speak English. It's a third party that does it, and the time change. So there's time change. You've got a party person in the middle. And yes, they are cheap, but once they create it, how do you explain to them how to change it? If you're not an artist, how do you know what is off? Like sometimes I can tell that things are really off or even a little bit off, but I can't always tell you why. So if we work at Square Tree, all of our illustrators are US based. We do have a relationship with one of our fictional designers that is overseas, but it's a very deep relationship that we've had with her. And so she knows how we do our covers that way. But all the rest are US based for a reason. Number one, because they speak English. Number two, because if there is a time change, it's only a couple hours usually. And so I'm going to go over the first one that they came up with. And at the time, I was really excited. I'm like, yay, I really like this one. But then as we got going, I realized that this was not going to be the one that we were using. So this is the first one that we did. Um, and as you can see in this picture, and let me see if I can get this bigger for you. Let's see, yep, there we go. So I can blow this up a little bit right there. Number one, it's very realistic. So all of the other elements need it to be realistic as well. There's a lot going on here. So the fonts are a little bit hard to read. You've got the earth and you've got all the swirls going on. You've got the space shuttle, and then you've got the typewriter. You've got a table. You've got a pad. You've got a drinking, a cup to drink out of. And then our tagline originally was rocketing into God's calling with your book as the launch pad. So that was our original tag, which we did change later. So it's just a lot going on, and it looks more like it's leaning more towards a fiction book. It looks cool, but it kind of looks more like a space book. And I think I need to explain why I used the space shuttle, because I'm using personal stories from NASA, from the astronauts, from my time that I worked at Rockwell International. And I'm using those stories as illustrations at the beginning of each chapter. So I wanted to do something like rocketing, launching, everything was all about launching, but I didn't want the space theme to take over. I didn't want the space theme to be, they think it's a space book or a science book or anything like that. I wanted the readers to know, look, this is for authors. And this is screaming more or leaning more towards the fiction. It's leaning more towards space. It's leaning more towards NASA. It's not really until you read that little fine print for the tagline, it's not, you don't even know it's really for authors. And there's way too much going on here. And again, it's a little bit too realistic. So the next thing that we did after that, I'm going to go ahead and grab that screen, is we did one for, so what my graphics gal did, my cover jacket designer, is she gave me a couple options. We wanted to simplify what we were doing. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that screen as well. I'm going to share my screen again. And what we did for this one is she actually used AI as part of this to give her some ideas. So as you can use AI for ideation, for ideas, but you can't take everything that AI does. A lot of times it scrapes the internet for like websites and other people's pictures and stuff like that. So you really have to be careful of copyright infringement and IP, intellectual property. Somebody already owns that picture. You haven't paid for it, that kind of a thing. So for ideation, meaning that you can go to AI and go, hey, give me some ideas. So she's thought about, well, what about a typewriter? And what about a rocket shooting out of it? So as you can see, this is a little better. This is, it's cream, so it's not white, but it is cream, and it looked a little bit more cream on the screen that it's showing here. So it kind of had that aged kind of feel to it. There isn't as much going on, and you can start seeing the theme is like, this is the one I almost went with at the beginning, and it's like, okay, it's a typewriter and it's coming out. They'll get that it's more about authors. So I was kind of leaning towards this. As you can see, the subtitle is still Rocketing into God's Calling with your book at Launchpad. So at this point in the process, I had not changed yet the tag for this. So this one I liked. I was starting to head in that direction, and I said, hey, can you give me one more completely different example so that I've got something to look at? So she did two of them that were similar to this. And this one, I had a lot of people because I started having my community vote on it. And a lot of people were like, hey, I really like this one. And it's so colorful and it's so this and it's so that. And they really liked it. This is called 3D paper cutout. That's what it's called. And it's kind of got this cutout image. To me, it looked a little clip artish. Um, that's not the formal term for it. It is this 3D art vibe going on. Yes, it's super colorful. People like the colors on this. I had the blue one, and then I had another one that was more orangey red. And it had such a pop of color that a lot of people liked it. But again, if you think about it, it's really busy. There's a lot going on here. Yes, you see the book. Yes, you see the rocket. But then you've got birds, and then you've got the sun, and then you've got the clouds, and then you've got, the whatever that is at the bottom, like with plants or whatever. It's just a little bit too much. So when you look at a cover and your eye does not know where to go, and you're like, oh, well, where do I even look? Or you're kind of doing this and you're trying to figure out where to look, that's not a good thing. Maybe in art, in a piece of artwork or something, it's beautiful, it's all pretty. But this one, you want to get focused on where's the eye going first and what is that image showing you about the cover. So even though we had a lot of people vote for this in our community, we decided, no, I don't think we're going to go for this exact cover or this direction. And again, for me personally, it just looked too clip artish and not professional enough because we wanted a best-selling cover. We didn't want one that was subpar in any way at all. So the next one I thought, okay, well, you're lighting a fuse. It's, the bottom of a rocket, I'm launching you. So we thought about like kind of the Mission Impossible kind of theme where it's like dun, 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 and it's got the da-da-da, and it's got the little, squiggly line with the fire that keeps going. So then we went in this direction. And at this point in the juncture, I decided to look at other best-selling covers for inspiration. So before we got to this one, I'm going to show you a couple of our inspiration pieces that we had. So one of our inspirations that we had is, let me grab it for you. What I did, and this is what you guys can do as well, is I went onto Amazon and I looked for some nonfiction best-selling authors. And I went for simple because I decided I wanted to go more simple in what I decided to do. So the first one that I looked at, and I'm going to show that to you right now, and this was one of our inspiration pieces. And let me share my screen with you. There we go. And I'm going to share in a second. Okay, here we go. So this was our inspiration piece right here. It was called Originals. It was by Adam Grant. It was a New York best-selling book. That's why I picked it, because it is a best-selling cover that's out there. But it's very colorful, but it's very simple. The way that it was designed, it's white, so it stands out. The color really pops off the page. You've got the author's name at the bottom really big. And so this is what I did. I said, okay, and I went back to my graphics gal and I said, okay, I love this look and feel, and I'll give you one more that we did as well. So this was the biggest inspiration that we used. Again, Adam Grant, another one of his books, and this was a New York bestselling as well. I really love the transparency of that flame. I think it looks really cool in there. So this was another inspiration that I went. I know better. I totally know better. And I waited till our third pivot before I went to look at Amazon for best-selling covers that I like. I don't know why I did that. I think I was just so busy and our launch lead time was so short that I was just doing a lot of other things besides launching the book at the time. So we were creating a conference and, had a lot on my plate, and I didn't do this until later. My recommendation, go to Amazon right away, go find some inspirational books, get ones that are in your category and that are bestsellers. So just don't grab any of them. You want to grab ones that are bestsellers, and you want to make sure that they are doing well, in that, like, especially if you can get a New York best-selling one, that's phenomenal. So after I showed our graphic designer those two inspirations, that's when we came up with the one that I just now shared with you. That's when we came up with this one with the light and the fuse. So we were playing around with that and what that would look like. At this point, Melody Fox helped me to refine the tagline. And based on the best-selling, we've moved my name down to the bottom. So my name is now in gold at the bottom. We made it super simple: igniting writers, propelling authors. Super fast to look at, super fast to see. Oh, it's for writers and authors. Launching You is popping, and now we've got this flame thing, which kind of goes along with our inspiration piece that we had as well. So that's where we got to this next one. Then we went on, and again, we've got that 3D cutout that the designer went back to, and we put the title at the top, my name, and then see how Launching You just blends in with the rest of it, because your destiny is more than a book. Like, we had too many words in there. So what we did is we cut out that piece, because your destiny is more than a book. We took that out, and then we made the Launching You just by itself really big. Again, that 3D paper cutout, I did not like. I feel like it looks clip artish. And my title, my name was at the top. So again, we ended up moving it to the bottom. So we were getting to the right place. A lot of people like the hand. It would kind of, some people like the hand. Some people didn't like the hand. It kind of went both ways on the hand. So then we went back and forth with, do we keep the hand? Do we not keep the hand? And then the next one that we went to is, let me show you this one, is this one. So this one has the hand in it. And as you can see, we're refining and refining and refining. And we have the hand in there. Now the hand is just one extra feature in there. So it's one more thing to look at. And we just weren't sure. And then my name at the bottom was in gold. And so it's good, but it was kind of getting lost a little bit with the U because it's the same color going back and forth. So again, we took a poll in our audience. Some people like the hand. Actually, my mentor liked the hand. But in the end, what we decided to do was take out the hand. We wanted to simplify it even more. So this is the final book cover. I would love your feedback on that. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the cover. It's got that gold in there. That's that gold foil because gold is a very hard color to emulate on a cover. So she kind of went with a gold foil on it. And then she put the rocket, and we went with different rockets. As you've noticed in each of the different covers, there was different types of rockets. I wanted a realistic rocket because again, I used to work for Rockwell International. Each of the chapters starts with a NASA story on purpose. So each one has this theme of launching and using the rocket as an example and astronauts from NASA. So we kept with the space shuttle, even though now, years later, it's not running anymore. But a lot of the stories still had to do with that day and age of NASA. Then what I absolutely love that she did is she put in all of those clouds. So that is real. And those clouds are, she got it from another picture that was an actual rocket launching. So it's very realistic. Those are the real clouds. I believe she put in the flames a little bit more. I don't think at the beginning those flames were there at the bottom, but it gave it that pop of color and that movement coming up. And then as you also notice, now my name is no longer in gold. It's in this dark gray tone. So that makes it pop more. So it's not competing. So sometimes when you have two colors that are the same on the cover, they're going to compete. So you have to be careful of that. So what pops on here is launching you really big. Red and gold, launching you. Your eye knows where to go. It knows where to focus. And then you can go back up to the tagline, Igniting Writers, Propelling Authors. You look at the picture and then you go down to my name. So chances are when you're looking at the cover, that's kind of the sequence that you're going to be looking at. So some ideas for you guys on your covers. Number one, don't make the mistake I did this time because I got so busy, I forgot to go look first. The very first thing you should do is go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble, look at Wall Street Journal's New York best-selling books. What do they look like? What is trending right now? Each season, there's something different that's trending. Like what's trending in fiction right now is not what was trending even a year or two ago. So you have to keep up with the trends and know what's trending and what you like. So you can pick something, that fits that category. You don't want something that's so creative, that it's so out of the box, that it doesn't even look like it's in the same category. You want to be able to look at all the New York bestsellers and put yours right up next to it, and it looks like it belongs. It's got the same type of colors, it's got the same look, it's got the same feel. You can get creative, but it still has to look like it's in that category. So I hope that really helped because I'm breaking down some of the things that you'll need in a best-selling book. I also put together a hardback book. So this is, I don't know if you could see this, but I do have a hardback book as well. On the inside, it's going to be your recommendations from people. And on the inside of the back cover will be your bio. In Barnes and Noble, if you go to Barnes and Noble, like every single book that you look in there, because I did this as homework just to make sure things hadn't changed, that in the right-hand side of the inside cover jacket of a hardback, it is the bio that goes in there. And then on the back, you either have two things, either the description of the whole book, or if you have some high-level people that are giving you recommendations, those should be big and bold on the inside. So you have two options on the hardback on the back cover, description or all the recommendations. If you don't have enough recommendations, then just put the description on the back. And then take your best, kind of your most well-known person that's recommending your book, and you can put that in the inside tab on the left. So there's 3 different versions of the book. So the covers will be custom for that version. It'll still be the same cover, but it will be different sizing and different things on it. Pretty close and similar, but mostly different sizing. Again, for the hardbacks, you'll have more things to put in it because you have more real estate. You have more places to put things. So you have the ebooks, you've got the softbacks, and then the hardcovers for that. And you always want to put your bio on the back cover. And so you want to put your bio and you want to put your socials, like everywhere they can find you on social media. Make sure that you pick a link that's not going to change. So you can pick one and then you can redirect it later to somewhere else, but make sure that link doesn't change, because if it does, you're going to have to redo the cover and make some edits and some changes later on down the road. The other thing is make sure that you've got a really good hook on the back of your cover. So for the back of your cover, you want to make sure that it opens with a really strong hook that grabs the reader in right away. If it has any kind of story in it, or it's a memoir or anything like that, I always like to take quotes from the book. One of our books was Sherry Ho, who was human trafficked. And so I took a quote from her on the night she ran away. And that was the opening hook on the back of the cover for that book. So you want a really strong one that grabs them in. So the very first thing somebody's going to do is look at their cover. Even if the book is not written well, it could still sell well based on the cover alone, which is kind of scary, but it's true. So you have to make sure that cover is spot on and again, looks like everybody else in that particular category. Then people are going to flip it over. You need a strong hook. They're going to read through, they're going to read your bio. The next thing they're going to read is your table of contents inside. Those are the top 3 things that they will read, and that table of contents are good titles and hooks for media, so that when you go out and you do interviews, then they can pick some of those hooks for those titles. So you want to make sure that it follows and that it's got a strong hook for media as well. So those are some of the things to look for in a book cover. I hope that really helped. One of our authors, Angela Hughes, she has a trilogy about King Arthur, pre-King Arthur days, Arthurian legend. And we did a fantastic cover for her and it looked awesome. But we realized later that there were some key elements that were missing. So for her book in particular, she had dragons in it because it was a fantasy. So if you have a fantasy, you have to put a dragon on there. And then we also put some historical stuff from what's in her book on the cover as well. And we made bright purple, deep, rich blues, some gold, some reds. Those are the things that the fantasy covers need. So again, you will know that if you go research your category. And so we were able to switch her cover up and it did so much better. She was able to speak at the Twilight convention and at the Forks convention, or whatever they call it, in the Twilight area. And she sold out of her books completely. She had a trilogy as well, so that helped. So the covers are everything. Covers are so, so important. So I hope that gave you some ideas and to get you started on your cover. And also, How many times did I pivot? I had to pivot when it didn't work and it didn't feel right. And I just knew instinctively that that wasn't it. I had to pivot. But beware that you're just constantly changing, but you don't know what you're doing. Like you're constantly changing just to change. And it's more of a mindset like, oh my gosh, I got to get this perfect. I got to get it right. I've got to, fill in the blank mindset wise, like scared to finish. So you're just going to keep editing and editing and editing. Those are all mindset stuff. That's not a cover issue. That's a mindset issue. So you really have to distinguish between, what truly is a cover issue and what you want for that, and what is just a mindset that you're just getting stuck or triggered or whatever it may be. So those are some things to think about. I want to encourage you, if you have not bought the book yet, it's launchingauthors.com, and you'll get all the different bonuses that we're putting together. So we're putting 3 bonuses together. And so you'll be able to get all those bonuses. And then you can buy it on Barnes and Noble. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it at all retail stores. So feel free to go grab that. It's called Launching You. And then the last one is, if you have a manuscript or you're just interested in working with Square Tree Publishing, go to www.squaretreepublishing.com. At the very top, there's a button and it says apply now. So go ahead and do that. Until next time, guys. Bye. I hope that helped.